Go. Hi. And there's Elizabeth.
Okay, so what do you picture when I say the words death or funeral? You probably all have a similar image of caskets or coffins in a traditional graveyard with lots of plots and marble or stone headstones. What if I told you there's another method of death care that doesn't involve any of these things? According to the Funeral Consumer Alliance, a green burial is one that doesn't use a formaldehyde-based preservative or no preservative at all, and doesn't use a traditional coffin or casket, and either the body is placed directly in the ground or there's a biodegradable coffin. And this method of death care is actually on the rise. According to the Funeral Memorial Information Council, in 2015, 64% of Americans 40 and over were interested in a green burial, as opposed to only 43% of Americans 40 and over in 2010. And there's good reason for this interest. Green burials are more financially accessible, they use less resources, and they do little to no environmental harm. And to remember these points, I created the green triangle of green burials, and I will reveal each point as I go through my speech. So one of the first reasons is because of the lower price point, which leads us to number one on here, which is saving green. When you use less money, you save green, you save your money. And according to parting.com, in the article Funeral Cost, how much does an average funeral cost? In 2017, the average cost for a funeral was around $7,000 to $10,000. Now this varies by location, funeral home, the services provided, and materials used, but it's a pretty standard thing. As compared to that, natural burials are much cheaper. Robert Schroeder from Market Watch in the 2015 article, Why More Americans Are Considering Green Funerals, says that the average cost of a green burial is only $2,000 to $3,000. And that's a large chunk of money. And this extra thousands of dollars can be a big make or break for many families. And although a green burial is not the cheapest death care option out there, such as direct cremation, it does allow families who want a burial and want a place to go to visit their loved one to do so at a much cheaper price point. And the second reason why someone might choose a green burial is because they use a lot less resources, which leads to point number two, reducing green. We're reducing all our resources, our green resources, and we're doing that through green burial. According to Joe Sahi, Executive Director of the Green Burial Council, in 2017, he said every year, funerals in America use enough embalming fluid to fill 8 Olympic-sized swimming pools, enough metal to build the Golden Gate Bridge entirely, and enough concrete to build a 2-lane highway from New York City to Detroit. And that's every year, which can quickly build up to a lot of resources. And all these resources I just mentioned, such as embalming fluid, metal, and concrete, none of them are used in green burials. And another big aspect of resource management is space. According to Dean Peterson in the 2017 Vox YouTube video, We Need to Change the Way We Bury Our Dead, an average plot in a graveyard is 32 square feet per person, which can add up a lot and use a lot of space. And he also says, if the 76 million Americans who reach the average lifespan of 78 years, and who will reach the average lifespan of 78 years in the next quarter century, want a traditional burial, we'll need a cemetery the size of Las Vegas just to bury all of them. And that's a lot, and it's going to add up century after century until eventually we're overrun with cemeteries. The thing with green burials is they need less space than a traditional burial. You can put bodies closer together, you don't need an underground concrete vault, and also as the bodies decompose, you can reuse the space. And the final reason why somebody might choose a green burial is because of the less environmental impact they have, which leads us to our third point, preserving green. If we have less of an environmental impact, we preserve the environment in which we live and we preserve it for long after we're gone. And a main reason because natural burials do not use harmful practices often used in traditional burials. So before I mention all the resources you're gonna need for a funeral, and those resources need to be made and they need to be transported, and that can use a lot of gas and create a lot of air pollution. And also, bodies need to be transported to and from funeral homes and to the grave sites. And according to Max Planck via Mike.com in the 2016 article, traditional burial is polluting the planet, so where will we all go when we die? Formaldehyde, a known carcinogen used in most embalming fluids, will deteriorate as the body decomposes and will leach out and can contaminate local watersheds and affect nature. Also, upkeep of traditional cemetery uses lots of water and lots of insecticide and fertilizers and weed killers to preserve a nice, picturesque area for rest. But in addition, in contrary to all these, green burials, they don't need insecticide. They might, but they don't need nearly as much water and insecticide as a normal funeral graveyard might, because it's more focusing on letting nature take its course. Also, no formaldehyde. And according to the corpseproject.net in the article The Science of Decay and Decomposition, when the human body decomposes, it releases large amounts of nitrogen and phosphate, which is a main component in most fertilizers. And that really hits its peak within the first year of body decomposition. And within 3 years of body decomposition, lush plants can be seen where the body was buried. So not only does a natural burial decrease the amount of environmental impact, it actually helps the environment. So these reasons are all pretty good of why green burials are increasing in popularity. So in summary, green burials help you save money, reduce your resources, and preserve the environment. The green triangle, I want you to remind this after you leave the speech. You will save green, save your money, reducing green, saving your resources, and preserving green, saving the environment. And listen, everybody's gonna die one day, and according to the PBS article, Facing Death, Facts and Figures, only 20 to 30% of Americans have a living will. This makes it very hard for families once a living loved one dies and they don't know what to do. So it's very important to have a plan, and I challenge you, when you think about having a plan for your death, to consider green burials and the impact your life will have after you die. Thank you.
Woohoo!